fame. If you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to long?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boomer Pod podcast, where we interview movie and TV celebrities. Our guest today is a fine artist, stunt performer, and actor, Talyn Edelson. Welcome, Talyn, and thank you for being with us today on the Boomer Pod.
Yeah, hi, Larry. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful for you.
Let's talk about your career in additional art compositions and skills. I'm afraid I don't know what that means. Help me out here.
Yeah, so I actually have a double major in acting and graphic and motion design. So I mostly do graphic design and fine art in the form of like charcoal drawings or mixed media drawings and paintings that I do like private art commissions for on the side. But my main focus is doing stunt performing and acting. So I love working in film and TV, but as far as the art goes, I have kind of like 4 separate careers, and I do graphic design and then create this like crazy surrealistic art as well.
Now, which did you start with, the art or the stunt work?
You know, I didn't even know what stunts were until I was a sophomore in high school. But since I was 7, I've always done martial arts, and I used to compete in fighting and weaponry. My grandmother and great-grandmother, I'm adopted, but both of them were artists. So I never had anyone really talking to me about art, but my family who adopted me used to like to go to art museums. So I was just kind of dragged around to a lot of art museums. So kind of all at the same time, since I was a kid, I've just been immersed in arts, whether that's performing arts or visual arts. So it kind of all just happened at the same time. And it's been a slow progression, but it's kind of just been a lifelong journey of doing an amalgamation of all of that, as wild as that sounds.
That does sound wild. How about stunt performing? How did you get started?
I suppose because since I was 7, I did theater and musical theater consistently throughout the end of university, pretty much with no breaks from productions, like maybe like a semester worth of breaks, perhaps. And then I was also doing sports. So I was in like co-ed club soccer in high school. I did dance for like, I don't remember, over 8 years for sure. Might have been more like 12. And then I used to compete in martial arts, and I have a 2nd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, which is what I started in, and then some belts in other styles as well, since I cross-trained over 6 different styles. So it's just been like a lifelong journey of doing sports and theater and musical theater since I was 7.
And how did you get involved in film?
Oh man, I love movies so much. I went through some like weird traumatic experience as a young teen. So I grew up in a very small town in Oklahoma too, like on a ranch. I was adopted in Memphis, and I grew up on a ranch in Oklahoma. There wasn't really much to do in that town. So when I wasn't doing like school activities, I would kind of just run around randomly on the property. And when I got lucky enough to be able to watch movies, they really impacted me. So there were a lot of really cool performances where I found like creativity for catharsis to be helpful. And I thought, man, there are so many beautiful, inspirational stories in film. Like, I want to be able to do that. And it pulled me out of some dark places watching movies and other people's movies, because, you get to have this beautiful, safe space, hopefully, to create with people and do collaborations and really get to show your dark and light sides. And I think it's like a really healthy way to just process life. I ramble a lot. Sorry, I talk so long.
This is all about rambling. Ramble on.
Yay.
Now,
Right on.
a friend of ours has referred to you as a stunt performing Barbie. What does that mean?
That is so funny. Actually, so my friend Mike, who's like a really, really amazing actor and producer, oh my God, he is so talented and incredible. But he started calling me Death Barbie. So it's really funny that Nancy doesn't even know that, because now Mike has gotten like my whole jujitsu school to call me Death Barbie. And he calls me Death Barbie. So now that group of friends is kind of knowing me as Death Barbie. And then also Nancy just out of nowhere decided to call me a Barbie as well in some form. So I kind of love this funny little trend going on. But I don't know. I guess people see me as being kind of a girly girl that loves to play with weapons.
Now, what's the genesis of Death Barbie?
I don't have a clue, but I pretty much wear black all the time. And I like to be like cute and glam and like red lipstick and always walk around like doing martial arts. So I always love like fake fighting my friends. Like I'll walk up and like throw a kick at somebody, or like fake, fake like we're about to start like an epic fight scene. And that's probably why they decided to coin me that.
Let's talk about some of your movies and TV. What memorable parts do you have about, say, Barry with Bill Hader and Sarah Goldberg?
Actually, so I got to work on the season 3 finale of Barry. And the guy who hired me, this guy, Wade Allen, is so incredibly talented. He, does all the action and stunt coordinated some really cool and diverse stuff, like not only Barry, but he did like Yellowstone, for example, and like Perry Mason, the redo that they did on HBO, and some other really cool shows. But I didn't get to double Sarah for the whole season. I just did the season finale, and it was a really dark episode. So first of all, we filmed at Sony, and I love Sony Studios. They're probably my favorite, and it was a really lovely experience, but we had to really kind of stay quiet and serene on this one, because we were filming on a stage and you could hear everything and everyone. So everyone was kind of just like sitting there quiet, watching, collaborating, like waiting on their turn when things got really going. And we're very respectful of the beautiful creative process that was going on. But it was such a pleasure to be around this, like, what felt so soulful and like indie, but at a big studio, because everyone really loved being on that project and they had great attitudes. So that was a really special experience for me. And then, oh my God, Sarah Goldberg is like not only one of the most talented actresses, but she just popped right in and out of her character. And she was so incredibly lovely and kind, like checking on people, making sure everyone's okay, like giving people all these like positive acknowledgments, and like going above and beyond to make sure everyone felt like comfortable and loved. And what a special woman. So cool. And she also leads by example with like really great morals and values. So that just makes me like love her on a whole other level and have so much more of a deep appreciation for her, because, I live in Hollywood. There are a lot of like really terrible people. So meeting the like really wonderful people really stands out.
Take us into the action on that project.
Oh, okay. So we had to choreograph the fight that happened, right? So a bad guy, this guy, Anthony Molinari, comes in. That's his real name, not his character name, but he comes in to like assassinate, right? So Sarah got grabbed and like chunked into a wall. We came up with all these different like fight choreography variations with the team there. This wonderful stuntman named Cody Banta was on set too. I love working with him. Stellar human being, great morals and values, so talented and down to earth, like so much respect for that guy too. But there were like throws into walls, and then like a stab into the side of the head with a sharp object. I can't even remember what it was. It's so funny. I hold so many weapons, found weapons and otherwise. I like can't remember what weapon we used, but I think it was maybe like a pencil or something. But we had to pick it up and stab it into the side of his head. They made this really cool prosthetic where it looked like it went through his eye. So that was special. But yeah, it was kind of just like a scrappy fight. And then she goes in and she kills him with a baseball bat in the soundproof room, because there's like a music recording area.
Now you mentioned Anthony. Who is that? Anthony who?
He's a really talented like actor who does really great action as well. Anthony Molinari, he was playing in that episode in that room with Bill Hader and Sarah and the other stunt players that day. So it was quite a pleasure.
I thought you said Anthony Molinari. Now he was one of my interviews. and he's a
Oh,
very
I did say
interesting guy.
him.
Yeah, very
Cool.
interesting guy. Very interesting guy.
Yeah, what
How?
a character, right? He was so talented. His acting was really good. I was so
Oh,
impressed.
he's into producing and directing now as well.
Oh, good on him. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
definitely, definitely. How about For All Mankind with Joel Kinnaman?
Oh
What can you
man.
tell us about that?
For that one, I was working for this guy, Todd Snyder, who I got that job because I was hustling, which is like something stunt performers did back in the day, right? Like when you had like maps and there wasn't like a digital GPS, it was protocol for people to like pull out their actual maps and like find filming set locations and just saunter up and like really go out of their way to get there and then just hand a physical copy of their resume to the people working on set that day after they found the stunt coordinator and say, hey, here's my stuff, hire me. And it was before this whole digital day and age, so there was a lot of respect for that original OG process. So that's still respected and encouraged today, and people will give you jobs for hustling like they did back in the old day. If you go show them your personality, shake their hand, give them your resume and headshot. So I went out to another film set he was working on, and it was so funny because there's always a learning curve and there are always these weird accidental horror stories. But I remember I drove up to park in the crew parking lot to hustle because it looked like a safe place to go. It was filming on the beach, and there were all these cars there. The parking lot wasn't blocked off or anything, and there were some open spaces, and it said crew parking. So I thought, no harm in that, right? Like, I don't see any security. I can just sneak right on in. And that's what the whole point is. You sneak in, you just act like a little ninja. You go in, you get the street cred for finding it, showing up there, finding the right person, and shaking their hand and saying, hi, this is me. So I went up, I pulled up, I parked, and I was sitting in my car with the headlights on. And then I turn off my car and get out. And then there's some random guy with the walkie-talkie looking over at the beach on this like cliff overlook, and you hear someone yell through the walkie like, who the fuck is that with their headlights on in the parking lot? It's ruining the shot, or something like that. So I guess I pulled up when they were filming, and the person that was up there turned out to be Todd, the stunt coordinator I was trying to hustle, and I knew that because I saw it on the tape on his walkie-talkie. I was like, oh shit. I'm never gonna work for this guy. I just massively effed up, right? But he kind of laughed it off and was like, how could you have known? No big deal. And we kind of had a little laugh about that. And then he ended up bringing me onto For All Mankind. And then I got to pretend like I was on a spaceship and that was like going wild and in space, and, do fun stuff like have a fight scene and get thrown into some stairs on top of this guy and break his leg and throw a shoe at somebody's head, but it got stuck in midair because we're in space. So it was like a really fun experience. They actually didn't use the whole fight. They almost never do in the final edit, but it was a really, really lovely time as well. And we also filmed at Sony for that one.
What a great experience. Let's talk
It
about
was.
let's talk about Play Dead with Bailey Madison.
Oh my God, she is an angel. She is such an angel. You know what though? That job wasn't supposed to go to me. That job was supposed to go to this badass babe named Crystal Granville. And she ended up getting cancer. And she was going through chemo at the time and couldn't accept the job. So I was really grateful that she thought about me and she gave me that job instead. But she ended up passing away. But I was so honored that she would allow me to step in and do that for her when she was going through treatment. And it was like such an honor to be able to be gifted this opportunity to do what I love for another day from such a beautiful woman, even though I wish that she could have been the one to do it, because it was, she loved it too. And it was such a special experience. Like everyone there as well was so fun and kind to work with. The whole cast and crew, oh my God, except for one of the producers had a bad attitude, but everybody else was so nice. The Bailey was like such a dream. She was so kind and lovely and sweet. And she got hit in the back of that. Oh my God, I actually cut my cast off. I had a broken thumb at the time because my friend kicked my thumb off when I was doing some martial arts training. And it was like not, the bone was not attached, and my thumb literally got kicked off. And so I had to have this cast on, and I actually cut my cast off with myself like a week early to be able to take this job because I have to pay my bills. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, how can I turn that down working on a fun feature film with Bailey Madison for Crystal? Like, that is amazing. So I cut my cast off. I go there and they're like, all right, first thing, you're going to get hit in the back of the head with a police baton and go straight down to the concrete. I was like, okay, well, at least I have great body awareness. So I know that I can do that without getting hurt and not landing on my thumb. And sure enough, it was fine. I didn't like hurt my thumb at all. And it hasn't had any problems since. It's like healed, you know, but that was a cool experience. There was actually this really great, Nil Stewart was the guy who stunt coordinated that one. And he has a really cool like film family. He actually brought his daughter Sage there on set to help out as well. So that was neat getting to meet her. And then this guy, Christian Lambert, who is a very talented stuntman whose father also was a stuntman, was there. So it was really cool to get to be around Christian. And he did some cool stunts with like a dog attack and like all kinds of fun action when he was stunt doubling Anthony, the actor who was playing Bailey's brother. But I mean, it was cool, you know, like even though it was such a dark film, and Jerry O'Connell, oh my God, what a hoot. Like in between takes, we were having like dance parties outside the door, dumb dance parties, you know, like the fun kind. So it was a really great experience. I feel very lucky to have gotten to work on really fun film sets where you hear a lot of like horror stories about mean people, but I feel like all the jobs that I've had have been with really nice people. So that has been a really cool blessing.
How about Them 2021?
Oh man, that guy too. Oh my God, Ben. So Ben Scott is the guy who hired me for that job. Also another embarrassing hustling story. I went to go hustle him and I literally snuck in as an extra that I wasn't an extra. I just walked in with them into the scene. They started filming the scene. I pulled my resume out of my pocket before they started rolling on one of the takes, and I literally dropped it on the floor. And he looked down at me and then looked up at me. And I picked it up and shoved it in my pocket, and then they started rolling, and I was like, this is not the right time. So I just kept my mouth shut, and then I ran away because I was so embarrassed. And I never thought I'd work for him either. And I don't even know that he knows that was me, and he's a friend now. So holy mackerel, that was hilarious. But he ended up hiring me because I'll be a little keyboard warrior in some of these people emails and check in and be like, I'm alive, hire me, I love this stuff, you know, and here's my resume, this is what I'm working on. And so I get to go work on them, and that was cool. Actually, like I was working with Gerard Butler on Olympus Has Fallen a million years ago in Louisiana, just doing stand-in work before I was lucky enough to get any stunt jobs. And it was just a big dream, you know, and in Louisiana. And I was like Rada, his wife in the movie's stand-in. So it was kind of just like me standing in a lot for her with Gerard while she was doing whatever she was doing, like getting prepped for all the scenes and everything. And one of the camera guys from that ended up being on Them, and I hadn't seen him since that movie. So it's always a pleasure because it kind of turns into this like big small town once you're out here long enough. And I don't know, I really geek out about that. That's pretty cool, part of the experience as well. But oh man, there's so much to say. I'm so over talking, but also like it just, Them was so much fun to work on. Ben and his brother Walter, and they have another brother as well, but I only really know Ben and Walter very well. So they are like, Walter did the stunt coordinating stuff for the Back to the Future movies, which is pretty cool. And they are some really good old country guys, and also did some really badass like driving stuff, like, you know, race car stuff and whatnot. But I was so grateful because when I was working on Them, they were saying he was saying something about calf roping, Ben was. And I was like, I grew up on a ranch and I always wanted to learn how to calf rope, but I never knew anyone else who did it, right? Like I knew some guys who rode bulls, and I had horses growing up. I got to break my own horse, but I didn't know anything about calf roping. And he was talking about it. I was like, oh my God, how do I know what kind of rope to get? Whatever. Anyway, so he told me what kind of rope to get. I got one. I sent him a picture. And then it was right before the pandemic. Literally, I worked on that job a week before the pandemic started. And then he was like, well, good old social distancing. If you want to come out and rope the dummy with me and Walter, my brother, while we're doing calf roping practice, since it was all socially distanced and safe anyway, and everyone's just on horses like far apart running down a big arena, he was like, I'll teach you to manage the steers if you want to help out and just come out and practice roping the dummy. So that was a really cool experience for me, getting to work on, safe, socially distanced, like fun activities like calf roping a lot when everyone else was locked up inside. But that was a really rewarding job too, getting to work with Janisha, who was stunt doubling the actress who slams my head into a wall in a door and murders me by like bashing my skull in, was a really great time. Especially, she's so funny too. Like, she's the most positive, sweet woman you'll ever see. So like, she's like murdering you, and then she'll stop, and then she'll be like, "How are you? You okay? Like, what's new? How's it going?" Like, after this like really dark scene, just so cute. Also, great people on that one as well. So
Now, Nancy Canteen is a real wild child. How did that friendship develop?
she is a wild child, man. I love her. She is like a fire queen. Like, she, I think she's a big Barbie too, but like also like a badass Barbie, right? She's this cute little blonde girl who is really talented with stunt performing. She used to do dance and stuff as well. She is so goofy and just unabashedly herself. She has this like really beautiful dark sense of humor that I really appreciate. And she created her own, like, so in stunts there's, when they light you on fire safely, right? One would hope there are different ways to do it, but they have this like chemically engineered fire gel, and different companies make their own fire gel, right? So Nancy ended up making her own fire gel, but she made it scented. So that was such a cool experience because she like chemically engineered her own fire gel and gave it this like wonderful smell. So when she lit me on fire for one of her projects, I was like, this is very pleasant. Like, this is this is like perfumey fragrance, like before I get lit on fire, like a wonderful distraction from from the freezing cold gel that I'm about to get slathered in, to do this like thing that a lot of people would be terrified to do and that is kind of hazardous. But thankfully, like, she's a really great fire designer, and she made it a really pleasurable experience and made sure that I felt like safe and taken care of, and was like, serious and making sure the protocol was enacted, but still had a great attitude about it. And also made it, just a lovely, safe, fun experience overall, being lit on fire for her when she was working on this piece for her fire design and coordinating reel. But man, she's really just like a little firecracker.
She's a unique character.
She
Definitely.
is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you consider your greatest accomplishments, Talyn?
Oh, and also, like, I don't really, just to take it back for a second, I don't really remember where I met Nancy, but some stunt thing somewhere. And I just like, I just love that she's this atypical, quirky, beautiful badass, who just wants the best for everyone. Like, I don't feel like she would ever hurt a fly unless they were trying to hurt her or someone she loved, and then she'd light him up. Oh man.
Okay, let's
Greatest
move on.
accomplishment.
Let's move on to your greatest accomplishments today.
Okay.
You're pretty young, so I don't know that you've reached your greatest accomplishments yet, but
Geez, golly. You know what? Like, honestly, overcoming some, like, I feel like my greatest accomplishments are not in my career, but in my mental health, because I had some big struggles with some like really weird traumas growing up that a lot of like little girls and teenage girls don't ever have to experience, or like no one has to experience their whole life, right? So like I had some really unsettling, like bizarre situations happen, and I've learned that there's a the only difference between villains and heroes is how they deal with their pain. So I've seen some really bad monsters that chose to deal with their pain in really horrendous ways, and just like they don't treat people well, right? And I'm really proud of the fact that I have worked on myself to make sure that I can be a healthier version, like the healthiest version of myself, so that I can treat other people well, and that I took the responsibility of like working through the things that hurt me so that I can give other people better love. You know what I mean? So I really feel like my self-control and my ability to really like be present in case of emergency and step in and be able to take control of a situation and be helpful and stay calm for other people when they're dealing with tragic things is what I'm most proud of, because it's a very valuable skill, and a lot of people don't take the time and energy to step away and make sure they take care of that and know how to not explode on people and not hurt people, because there's that saying, hurt people. And I was like, I don't ever want to be like that. I noticed, like, after I went through these traumas, I was like, I am not treating people as well as I want to, because I didn't know how to deal with my fear of like bad things happening to me again. So I'm very proud, and I feel like it's my biggest accomplishment that I got to work through some like scary things and now have like really wonderful self-control.
You're a very mature woman. I give you a lot of
Thank
gratitude. You're really wonderful. Do you ever look back on these?
Thanks, Larry.
Did you ever look back on these horrendous experiences, or have you tried to erase them from your memory?
Both. Some I don't feel like deserve my attention, right? Like, so it depends on the kind. Like, some I don't feel like deserve my attention at all, and I don't want to give any thought to like those people. So I have learned how to avoid those kind of people and attract healthy people, and also have like very healthy, clean boundaries of saying no and keeping my distance. And also just growing up, you learn as a woman not to put yourself in dangerous situations. So I tend to be a lot more conservative than the typical Los Angeles person, because I like to be safe and I like to be healthy. So I make it a priority for me to keep myself as safe and healthy as possible. So I'm very calculated about, you know, just hanging out with my closest friends. And then my time outside of that, I like only tend to meet up with new people, like males specifically, like at my favorite gym for like a healthy activity where I know that everyone's looking out for each other. And so I don't know. I think that has really served me well. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did wonderfully well. Now, how about challenges? How about challenges, both inside and outside of the industry?
Well, I guess I just am one to just keep going through the motions regardless of how you feel, right? Like, because we all get thrown these crazy obstacles, you never know what they're going to be. And and nothing really goes according to plan, at least not in my life. So I feel like every time I go get to do what I love again, it's a big blessing. Every time I'm leaving set that day, I don't know if it's ever going to happen again. You know, who knows? You never know. Life throws some crazy curveballs your way that no one can avoid or predict. So I just try to take things as they come, deal with them as quickly as possible. If I don't have anything nice to say, I don't say it at all, unless someone's like being around a person I know is unsafe or has hurt me before, and I'll like warn people that I care about that I don't think that person is safe. But I don't know, pretty much just living by the golden rule and treating others the way that I want to be treated has been really helpful with me overcoming challenges, because that's given me a really healthy, you know, view of like other people's success that mentor me and that I look up to, so that I can try to emulate what they're doing. And I also have these little processes, like I know what works for me and my personality, right? So I experimented with like, when I'm feeling really down or I've had a really bad challenge in my life, like what do I need to do to not only keep myself safe and healthy or to get myself through that, but also like other people. Like, so I tend to like isolate myself, except for like from my best friend. And then I'll like listen to these positive meditations. I mean, I like to rewire my subconscious and listen to these like positive meditations while I sleep, an insight timer, and working out and stretching, and we're doing like flexibility work or doing like creativity for catharsis, which I actually have a company that I started a few years ago called Villainy Street. And the tagline is good people playing bad. And that's very new. It's like a project car. So it's something I'm still growing as I learn more about business, because my specialty is performing and creating. But with that, I am really learning. Oh my God, I got lost. I got sidetracked. What was the question again? I can't remember why I started talking about Villainy Street.
We were talking about challenges, current challenges inside and outside of the industry.
Oh my Lord, I just babble on and on and on. So yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got lost in that one, but I have a brand and challenges. I'm inspired by other people so that I can, create for catharsis. And the whole philosophy behind that is like to bring it out. Like I'm adopted, and my biological dad, I looked for him like my whole life. And I finally found him when I was like 21. And I knew him for a little less than a year. And he and his dog, and we talked on the phone like every day. Like he was looking for me for my whole life and didn't even know if I was alive or not. And it was so special because he was so proud of me and like loved me genuinely for who I am. And I feel like he really knew me. And he and his dog got killed by a dump truck in this freak accident. And then I had this really, really bizarre experience at his funeral that was like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that show where it's such obscure dark comedy. You're like, there's no way that would ever happen in real life. It was like that, but in real life. So I've written this like short film that I really want to produce about that. And I enjoy, and I also have some other scripts that I've written that I want to produce as well. And I'm just I need to start the film fundraising process for those projects. But I do really enjoy taking like terrible situations and then turning them into something beautiful, because if you suppress it, you're not necessarily going to open the opportunity to save someone else from some weird shit happening, right? Like I think it's better to be transparent and then just roll with the punches.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, Talyn?
Golly. Well, I'm 35, so I'll be 40.
You're
Ah!
35?
I'm
I
35.
didn't
Yeah.
even think you were.
Tink you.
All right,
I
where do you see
appreciate you. There's
yourself
something
by
in
the
the
time
water
you're
here, I
40?
swear. Pardon?
Where do you see yourself
Oh, I heard
at
you.
the age of 40?
Uh, well, okay, I know this sounds really basic, but like I really want to be a mom. I really want to be able to have a family of my own. I think a lot of that comes from being adopted. So I really, really pray that I get to like have a great best friend, life partner, to just, have the opportunity to be a great wife and a great mom. Like that would be so, I would just so adore that more than anything. But I and I would love to be like a really great martial arts mom. So hopefully I'll have like a kid or two, and then have them in martial arts so that I can share what I love with them, as long as they love it, you know what I mean? And then creating my projects. Like I anticipate I will have shot a feature film that I've produced by then. I am hoping that I'll have a lot more credits doing like stunts and acting stuff for other people's fun projects as well, because I just love doing that stuff and don't really ever want that to end. And I'm really hoping that I will have generated enough disposable income to be able to give back. I really feel like being a single woman living in one of the most expensive cities in the United States, pursuing this crazy dream is like really expensive. So everything that I make essentially gets funneled back into my career right now. And I really hope that I'll be able to give back, because that makes me really happy to be able to help other people improve the quality of their lives. So I'm really thirsty to be able to do that.
You're a wonderful woman, and I mean that sincerely.
Thanks,
What
Larry. That's so kind of you.
what have I missed, Talyn? Anything else that you'd like to mention or pitch?
Oh man. I mean, if y'all want to follow my journey, it would be a really big honor and a pleasure if you would want to follow my social media. All of my film and entertainment work I have on Instagram for the most part under my name, Talyn Edelson. It's TalynEdelson. And then there are links there to my art and design work as well. But my company, Villainy Street, is villainystreet.com. And I'll be posting all of the film projects that I produce as I continue to grow that very new company as well. So, oh, and all my film and TV credits can be found on my IMDb, but there's a link to that on my Instagram too. And I don't know, Google does a pretty good job at sorting all that stuff out. So I don't know. Yeah, I get awkward when I talk about promoting myself, but but I
Hi.
appreciate all the support.
Don't, you do it. I'm a big Instagram
I'm
fan.
blushing.
I'm a big Instagram fan, so I'm going to hook up with you on Instagram.
Yay. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate you.
Would you join
checked
us
out your
again?
YouTube, and I'm excited to be a part of your podcast and your journey. So it's a pleasure getting to connect
It'll be up in about a week.
You know what though? I wish you talk about yourself more. I would like to know more about you because I haven't heard you say anything. Like I would love to hear like why you started this and what you love about it.
You're the
And
second.
like
You're the second person that has asked me that. Robin Bonacorsi, I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a stunt person, and I interviewed her, and she asked me that very same thing. I wanted to start a podcast, and I felt like the best thing to do would be to interview top name actors. Well, that didn't happen because it's tough to break into that crew. So I started interviewing stunt people, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with you people.
oh,
You got your own community. You're a wonderful independent group, and you're a lot of fun. You're a lot of fun.
oh,
So that's how I got started. But I've done many things. I've done many things. I've had my own restaurant. I've worked for a
cool.
major corporation in marketing, done a lot of very different difficult things, but good things that put me on the right track. I also had a talk show, a radio talk show in Chicago
Neat.
a number of years ago, where I interviewed teenagers that were in trouble,
Cool.
with the law. I did that for about a year. That was a fantastic opportunity. But that's about it. And then about 9 years ago, I moved to Mexico, decided to retire.
Neato.
I've written and published 3 novels, a
Wow.
lot of which is based on my life's experience. But I'm an old man at 78, so I'm going to play it until I check out, whenever that is. But thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, you know that guy I was talking about, Walter Scott, who he's like 83 now or something like that, and he still kicks all the young 20-year-olds' butts at calf roping, just speeding down the arena. Like he's, you know what I mean? So age is just a number.
You're right. You're right. And I'm finding that out. I never thought I'd make it this
Beautiful.
far, to be honest with you. Never
Well,
thought
you're
I'd.
doing a great job. And thank you for sharing
Oh,
some
thank
about
you.
you as well. You have such a wonderful speaking voice and great timing and a really beautiful presence. So it's a pleasure to get to experience your personality and your passion. So
You're sweet to say all those things.
that's true.
Well, thank you for the wonderful conversation, Talyn. And be
Thank you,
safe.
Larry.
Be safe.
Will do. Will do.
I say that from my heart, because I know sometimes you're not safe in the job that you do. So be good.
I
And I hope,
appreciate that. I do my
I hope
best.
you find somebody to have those children with.
Oh, thank you.
It's a fantastic experience, one that shouldn't be missed.
I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and being so kind and understanding. It was such a pleasure.
Be well, Talyn.
Thank you. You as well.
I'll be in touch.
Okie dokie. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And you will be happy too.